we're at this point already. So on the weekend, the backpacker on my hay drill fell off. I was going down the field and it fell off. So one of the bearings, I guess, was out of it. I did a few passes on the field and then turned around and it was laying on the field. So we're at this point already. It was the hammers, the pullers, all that stuff's already been tried, and now JJ's got the torches out. Packer's laying on the ground. We're trying to get the one good bearing off so we can get it down to the shop and get a comparable bearing, some casting, stuff like that, get it back on the planter. Didn't do any planting videos because we were in such a hurry that I just wanted to get some seed in the ground because it was going to rain this week and it would have been a good time. Well, everybody sees how that hurry kind of worked out now that we're into torches. So we'll see if we can get this bearing off, see if we can get the roller back on that planter that's over there. Take on it is so the puller did not work and now we're at this point.
So a typical mistake that people make when they cut a bearing off is they try to cut down on the shaft like this, or they try to cut the bearing off like this, and they blow the molten metal right onto the shaft. where I come in on an angle and I take the side of the bearing off till it's paper thin, and you can start to see the shaft as you're cutting it off. And if you look at the shaft, I never touch the shaft with the torch. It's still perfectly fine.
We wouldn't be making this video if he did touch the shaft, by the way. So we got the bearings out, and then we had to fabricate up a whole new shaft on the other side, and Alex here just drilled a hole in it. It's a little bit warm to touch. And then, so we're putting that whole new shaft into that side. The shaft on the other side seemed to be okay. We got the new bearings, and it's slowly going back together.
Finally getting around to fixing the forage wagon from 3 weeks ago. Remember those sprockets I said were seized? Yeah, they were seized.
This is the hanger on the back of the Packer. And the big holdup now, we'd have this thing back together in about an hour, except for, as you can see right here, there's a bushing that goes back here. And a bunch of the bushings were bent where the old bolts were. And we tried to go get tubing this morning to cut our own bushings in there. But it's a 3/4 inch tube with a 7/16 hole in the middle. And that doesn't seem to exist. So now we have to have bushings made. And the guy's going to, down at one of the local fab shops, is going to cut a piece of solid pipe and then drill out the centers so that we have the proper bushing. So that might not be till tomorrow or the next day before that happens. Well, just pulled back into the field. I probably should have put a little bit more of the process on this video, but we were just kind of in a bigger hurry to get everything back together. So see here, we got the Packer on the back of the planter put back on. And we had to replace all the bearings on each side. We had to replace, the biggest thing here was there's some bushings that go on in between the actual casting housings for the bearings and the actual hanger. And these little bushings here were pretty much the biggest pain in the butt to try and find the exact size to put back on. So anyways, the Packer's back on. We're gonna go out, we're gonna try to fitting this 55 acre hayfield that we got to try and plant here, which was supposed to be easy because it's on sand ground. Everything should have worked up pretty easily, and it did until the planter fell apart. So we got it back together. We're gonna go out and plant. The best part is we plant with GPS, which most people do these days. Not everybody, but it definitely makes life easier. I would say that the major advantage to planting with GPS when something does happen is you can see here on my GPS screen as I pull back in the field that this is where I planted everything the other day. So as I get back over to the area where the planter broke, it's gonna basically tell me exactly where I left off. and it'll get me back right on track without me having to look at the ground. You know, if it rained or whatever else happened, that would have really sucked to end off on something like that with big problems like that. So you can see basically right here, right where I'm pulling up, I plant every second line, and it makes it easier for making turns. So this area right here, right where I pulled up right now, is where my planter broke. And I can just start off right there again, and everything is great, and it's like nothing happened. So I'm gonna get at it because I only have so much before dark, and I want to try and get as much done as I can. And then I'll come, if I don't get it done today, I'll come back down here tomorrow and finish off from there. So I decided it'd probably be a good idea to get out of the tractor, check our handiwork, see that everything's still working, and it looks like it is anyways. If you come over here and you have a look at, obviously we put nylon locking nuts on, washers, or sorry, that's the bolt, nylon locking nuts over here, washers, everything seems to still be tight on that. The packing wheel, the bearings still seem to be turning, no problem on the packing wheel. There doesn't seem to be any issues that way. My only concern right now, and this planter's always ran a bit hot. We aim for about 20 pounds to the acre. This thing usually, because we got to rebuild these meters that are over here, we have there's a nylon bushing that's in there, and that nylon bushing on a few of them tends to have a little bit too much space between here and there, and it's a project that needs to take place over the winter. So we find this thing usually runs a little bit hot at 22 to 24 pounds an acre. Now we did a little bit of work on it before we came out with this planting, and we did open up, there's a bit of a hole under here, and I had one of the guys silicone that up a little bit. We fixed up all these level things that open up the meters a little bit wider, made sure that those are all secured up. Some of it a farmer fix, which is okay. It got us out to the field and it seems to be going, but now it seems to be running a little bit lower than what I'm used to, because I'm basically 75% done all 3 fields, and I'm still quite high on my seed box for what's in here. So that's got me a little bit concerned, but it was running hot, so I should be okay. We dumped all the seed in because this field is a little bit far away. We're about a 45-minute tractor drive from home. So we did dump all the seed in, and there's no way of really gauging exactly how much is coming out. I know this sounds horrible, but it's just the reality of how it goes sometimes. I knew where this planter run. It's running a little bit light. I'm probably being a bit paranoid because I'm used to it running a little bit hot, and everything will be good. There's lots of seed on the ground from when I'm looking down on the ground and whatnot, and I'm probably going to be okay, but I'm always a little bit paranoid when it comes to planting that everything goes right. I like to do it once, I like to do it right, I like to get it good, and I like to get a good stand of hay. We had a few issues this year because of being droughty. The weeds took over on some of the new plantings we did this spring. So these couple fields that I got for summer or fall planting, whatever you want to call it, I really want them to turn out well. So I didn't want to jinx it. I got the first field done that I was trying to finish up there when we pulled in with a fixed planter. And now I'm about a quarter-ish done the last field on this farm. And so far, knock on wood, everything seems to be working fine. I gotta get out of the tractor in a few minutes, and I'm just gonna check for the 3rd time that the bearings are holding up, the nuts and the bolts all seem to be still there, and my seed levels and whatnot, to make sure that everything does seem to be going along okay still. But as of right now, you can see the dust behind me. We're out here, we are planting this field. You can see in front of me here, everything's looking pretty good. This is the squarest field on the farm. There's a bit of ginseng still in the background over there. That'll get hauled out in this fall, and then we got probably, I think there's 7 or 8 acres that we got to come in, work up in the spring, and finish planting on this particular farm. So we're not ginseng farmers, don't get that impression. This is just new rental land. It's coming out of ginseng. The owner wanted to put it into hay for a while, and he also likes the idea of organics that go in after the hay. So anyways, out here, the planter, as of right now, does seem to be running okay, which is good news as far as all this stuff goes. and I'm just gonna keep plugging away, hopefully get this field done by dark, go home, eat dinner, have a shower, go to bed. Bob's your uncle.